What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys the full spoilers for Boruto's 2 Blue Vortex manga chapter 1, or if you guys just want to call it Boruto manga chapter 81, whichever one works. So we are going to be discussing the full spoilers like I said, and I do want to point out real quick though that there is a fan translated version of the chapter out if you guys are interested in checking that out. I might make a quick little video on it as well, but if you go on Twitter and you just type in Boruto two Blue Vortex chapter 1, you're likely going to be able to find the link to it. So that's out, but for my viewers that love hearing these full spoiler videos instead and want to wait for the official release of the manga to actually read it, this is perfect for you. So let's talk about the full chapter. We have a lot to discuss. So this chapter begins off with a double colored spread page, and we have Boruto on the cover and then Sarada on the first page, and I think both of their time skip designs are pretty awesome. I really like what they did with both characters overall, so I think that's pretty cool. I also want to point out that we do have a little bit more of an extra lengthy chapter since we've been on hiatus for a little bit. So instead of our normal 40-page chapter, we actually have about 50 pages this month instead. So an additional 10, definitely a welcome sight, I bet, for all of us fans. And I do want to say, I might start tossing in, little manga images here and there in the video. I can't put them up for too long though, because Shueisha is really picky with the copyright stuff on that, so I'll see what I can do, but I might try tossing in a quick few, so if you guys do want to pay attention, there may be a few things that I end up being able to show. So we start off the chapter with Sarada trying to convince Shikamaru, who is now the Hokage, so probably the 8th Hokage, that Boruto is innocent. So Shikamaru says to Sarada that he cannot be forgiven since he's also regarded as a Hokage killer. That makes him kind of irredeemable. So despite the past and everything, because now he's in Kawaki's role, right? So despite, the past of like their, relationship getting better, he's viewed as a big enemy now and as a Hokage killer. So another big thing to point out now is Konohamaru is also leveled up. He is now an advisor to Shikamaru. I want to say I really, really love both of their fits. I think Shikamaru looks really cool in the Hokage cloak, and I think Konohamaru's new design is pretty damn cool as well. And I'm just hoping, they do both of these characters justice as the story goes on. Konohamaru says to Sarada that Boruto wouldn't have ran if he was innocent. Plus, he also mentions that the main thing is that Ida confirmed with her ability that everything going on is the truth, which we know Ida is capping because of what's going on, and it would be hard to explain the whole omnipotence thing to everyone anyway. Sarada is over here still begging them to at least listen to Boruto since they set a kill on sight order on him when stuff first happened, which I think is a rightful reaction because they thought that he killed Naruto, so that would make sense. But I think Sarada's making a valid point too. But Shikamaru tells Sarada that this is the end of the discussion and that this is the last time they will be talking about this. So this implies that they've definitely discussed this in the past before across the years. And he ends up telling her to go back to the mission, and Sarada pretty much gets really angry and yells at them, calling them fools. So Konohamaru tries to calm down Sarada, and Shikamaru ends up saying that he's really worried about her and that she's going to remain a genin forever and never become Hokage if she continues acting like this. And Sarada's response to that is she accuses the reasoning of her remaining genin being that her dad is a traitor too, just like how Boruto is. So she thinks that's what's holding her status back. I also want to say, I'm glad the anime, actually had this in mind and kept her as genin, because if this was, in the plans to have her rank up, the anime could have really messed that up. So I'm glad they coordinated on that and didn't do that with that whole little tuning exam arc they had in the later half of Boruto. And Sarada also makes it clear what Naruto did in the past of, going out of the village and saving a traitor, aka Sasuke, and that her role model is Lord Seventh and not him. So she just dissed Shikamaru, and pretty cold moment for sure. And I definitely think, she has the valid reasoning for it. Next, we actually cut over to Kawaki, who is staring at Naruto and Hinata in the other dimension where he trapped them, and they're unaged, of course, because time is not moving there. And he himself, of course, though, has aged up, and he has a really great new design. I really like it. I thought it was pretty cool, and so far up to this point, designs are 5 for 5. I liked Konohamaru, Shikamaru, Sarada, Boruto on the cover, and then now Kawaki. Hikimoto is definitely cooking with the designs, without a doubt. And I also want to mention that Kawaki is actually rocking a clan crest on the back of his fit. I don't know which clan it is exactly, but it's an interesting thing to point out. Next, we cut over to Sarada and Sumire, who are discussing that no one will change their mind on the situation in the village, and that they all believe that the reality is Kawaki Uzumaki instead of Boruto Uzumaki, or that Boruto's innocent. And even Sarada mentioning Momoshiki to Shikamaru isn't changing anything, and the reasoning they have behind that is that this is the whole manipulation of the omnipotence that's going on, so proper reasoning is not working there either, since it was Kawaki's wish. So I guess this is their way of writing their way out of that situation, which, hey, it's, with them having god powers now in this series, it's all valid. So Sarada and Sumire go and talk to Ida, and Damon's there too. So they're discussing with Ida a little bit, and she says that she recently learned that her ability is a Shinkutsu. So pretty much a divine technique, of course, but that's the name for it. It's Shinkutsu, and that this world was pretty much created by Kawaki's wish. So she doesn't know how to reverse it, and she doesn't think it can be reversed. She tells them to pretty much give up on trying to fix up history. And then she's wondering why neither of them are impacted by the whole, world switch thing, since they aren't Otsutsuki. And then we flash back to Shikamaru, which is a flashback we had, originally to before the whole omnipotence thing. And that was Shikamaru saying to them that they must make sure that Ida doesn't find out that they aren't captivated by her, since that'll give Damon the idea to take them out, since they can take out Ida then. And I guess they've done a good job keeping that a secret for the last few years. We then cut over, oh, by the way, Ida and Damon aren't aged, in case you were wondering. Another little thing to throw out there. I wasn't really expecting them to be aged, but some people were, so that's your answer. We then cut over to Mitsuki and Kawaki talking, and I gotta say, I love Mitsuki's design. It's amazing. Probably one of my most favorite ones that they've done. I'd say top 3 for sure of the new designs. And apparently Kawaki is able to sense Mitsuki's murderous intent towards Boruto. Mitsuki pretty much says that he will kill Boruto with his own hands. And as Mitsuki's about to say something else to Kawaki, the sensory division ends up alerting Kawaki of claw marks found outside the village. Kawaki then flies away to go there, and that shows Kawaki can fly now. New ability already being showcased. That's one. And then Mitsuki pretty much says right after he's leaving, he's kind of questioning. He's like, Kawaki is his son that illuminates a moon like himself. So the whole line, he had with Boruto with the roles changed, but Mitsuki kind of said it with a little bit of a question mark. So maybe, all these years he's wondering if Kawaki, he thinks Kawaki is his son, but maybe he's not 100% sure on it anymore. We then cut over to Himawari training with Chocho for a few pages, and so we get to see 2 more new time skip designs, and I think these 2 both get a thumbs up from me too, especially Himawari. I think that her new design is pretty unique, and it's cool to see her training overall. I think Chocho's new design is pretty solid as well. Next up, we have Shikadai and Inojin show up as well. So Shikadai hasn't really aged too much. face-wise, but he's definitely aged up regularly. Like, he doesn't look vastly different, but I really like his fit, and I think his time skip design is pretty cool as well. Inojin, though, his fit is fine, but his barber did him dirty. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what his barber was thinking, but Inojin got done dirty. That's probably my least favorite time skip design so far. Definitely one that I hope that they tweak a little bit down the line, but I don't think they will. Next up, they're just talking to Himawari, and they end up asking her why she wants to get so strong suddenly, and she responds with, she knows that she's going to get scolded for all this, but she said she deep down wants to help Boruto. So that confirms to people that were wondering what exactly her role would be, in terms of towards Boruto. It shows that she has a feeling that he is innocent, or at least something is up, and so, Chocho, Inojin, and Shikadai are in disbelief hearing this, but she says that she feels that Naruto is alive somewhere, and that Boruto protected them in the past, so she feels that he would have never killed Naruto. And this is where I really, really like this callback. This is a really good writing moment, because although some people weren't a fan of that moment where, Delta was shooting that beam and Naruto rushed over to save Himawari and didn't really have much time to, dodge that attack or block it or anything like that. We had Kawaki sacrifice his arm in the original, timeline before the whole omnipotence thing played in, so that would be Boruto now. So that moment of sacrifice now is fueling Himawari to know that Boruto is likely innocent in some way, or must have had some reasoning. So I really, really like that callback. You kind of turn some questionable writing in the past of that moment of, Naruto not being able to do anything into a great, callback and character development moment here. And next we cut over to Kawaki destroying a claw mark, and there's, just a bunch of random ninjas around him. There's like 2 ninjas, and the ninjas are pretty much wondering why Code even comes so close to the village if his main grudge is with Boruto. And, of course, as they're saying that, Kawaki ends up finding out that Code apparently had marked this ninja in the back, so he got marked on the back of his neck, and he had no idea for how long for. And it turns out Code actually ended up marking multiple people, and his soldiers then start teleporting out their claw mark spots. So maybe Code across the time had been plotting, and he was waiting to mark up enough people so that a lot of his soldiers could come in. So that could be a possibility as well. So as the sensory division gets alerted of this, Shikamaru ends up calling for an emergency evacuation of the citizens and the rushing of anyone that can fight to go to the scene. So then about a page or 2 later, we have Sarada charging in with a kick to one of the soldiers, and right after that, Code then appears out of one of his claw marks on the soldier, and now he has a eye scar. Big thing to talk about and discuss. So how did he get this scar, and who exactly did that to him? Because he did not have that pre-time skip, meaning in these time skip years, he either lost an eye to Kawaki if he came in the village, or he was in the village he was outside the village hunting Boruto and got that by Boruto or Sasuke by some chance. He also ends up recognizing Sarada over here, so maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if Sasuke had something to do with this. It is very possible, and a lot of people are worried that Sasuke may not be alive anymore because they didn't see him show up in this chapter. And honestly, I think this is a good writing choice right now to keep the readers in suspense, wondering like what's going on. I personally think he's going to end up being alive because he's too big of a character to off screen. Maybe there's a chance, we're just going to start going back to the whole flashback mode coming up next chapter to see all the events that lead up to where this chapter is, kind of like a flash forward thing like Naruto had when part 2 began. So that's possible, and maybe then we'll see something like Sasuke dying, or maybe Sasuke is alive and just not around at the moment. Maybe something happened, so we'll have to see. But Code does recognize Sarada, and Code pretty much tells her that he came looking for Boruto. Sarada responds with saying that Boruto left 3 years ago, and Code says he's aware of that since he's been chasing him for 2 years now. So that means that 2 years ago they must have had an encounter and a clash, and maybe they've had a few clashes in between those years too while Boruto's been on the run. Just nothing definitive to, kill Code or kill Boruto. He then ends up saying that now he's decided to shift his attention from Boruto to the hidden Leaf Village. And Code says that he'll end up drawing out Boruto by making Sarada scream. Not gonna lie, Code's wording there was kinda sus. And before Code can do anything, that's when Boruto comes in out of nowhere with a stomp to Code's face. And that's one way to make an entrance, of course, pretty cold way. And guys, I'm praying over here that we get, the anime doing all this stuff in like a great manner. Like, there's so much great content or exciting content that we have in some of these Boruto chapters that we've gotten in the last few months. I'm kind of glad the anime's on break so that when they come back, hopefully they don't fumble any of this and they can make everything look as good as possible. And pretty much now we're really close to the end, and the sensor unit ends up picking up on Boruto, and Shikamaru's orders pretty much are to monitor Boruto's movements, but to prioritize fighting Code and his soldiers. So it seems like Code is still the bigger enemy in comparison, to Boruto, but Boruto is still, being heavily monitored. Maybe this is like part of Sarada's influence, so they're going to see what Boruto's up to. The chapter ends with Kawaki and Code saying the same thing, that being, "You finally appeared, Boruto." And that's pretty much where we end off. So, huge cliffhanger. I honestly think, just based off this, the chapter had a lot of exciting stuff. I think it was paced well. Obviously, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, a lot of things that were glossed over. But I want to say that it's really going to depend on how next chapter goes. The next chapter will kind of tell us if we're going to be having the anime fill in a lot of these holes, or if this was one of those flash forward chapters and we're going to get, everything leading up to it for the most part from here. So I hope, honestly, we get some stuff from the past. A good bit of it, honestly, I'd love to see the lead up to here, and I'd love to see a lot of the things that's gone on. So I'm hoping that that's the route they go and they don't just leave it to the anime, but that's just me personally. But that should wrap up the full spoilers pretty much. That's 50 pages worth of content right there. Make sure you guys support the official release, of course, whenever it does drop in a few days. And if you do want to check out that fan translated version as well, you can definitely hunt for that as well. And that's going to be it for this one, though. Let me know what you thought of these full spoilers in the comments below. I'm just really glad we got a nice chapter to kick things off, and I'm glad that majority of the time skip designs are pretty fire. Just not Inojin, but hey, I guess you can't hit on all of them, right? But yeah, that'll wrap up this one. Let me know what you thought of all the time skip designs as well. I think Ikimoto went, I want to say, at least 7 for 8, or I don't know how many characters we really saw in the chapter, but I want to say something like that. Pretty good rate, maybe even like 9 for 10. I don't know exactly how many off the top of my head he showed, but still more people to be shown, of course, in the coming months. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. Hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.